It's your boy ConcertViz34, and today I'm going to give my reaction to my first Goose show. Oh wait, that's Fish, that's not a Goose song. Cut. It's your boy ConcertViz34, and today I'm going to give my reaction to my first Goose show. Oh wait, that's Humphreys, that's not. Cut. So finally, I see Goose. I made it a point. I wanted to see two new bands this year. First was Fish. Finally saw them last month at MSG, April 23rd. Then I had to check off one of the Westville shows. So I went Friday, April 27th to night one of the two-night stand Goose did at the Westville Music Bowl. Now, this is not your father's jam band. They were inspired by your father's jam band, and even some of the jam bands your father went to when the jam bands of his day started getting older, like Humphreys McGee, they were inspired by them as well, but they also groove. One of the first things I think about when I think about this show is the sets were slow and fast at the same time. I was getting adjusted to this new sound of a band that's not your typical jam band, in the sense of, you know, the way they groove and have different things like an indie rock band, but bring that into some of the things that the Dead and Fish and Humphreys do in their sets. Combining all that into one, it took me time to adjust. So some periods, 2 or 3 minute periods of the show, I was like, wow, this feels like forever. And I'm trying to get all this stuff in my brain to just kind of feel what this is about. But before I knew it, both of the sets were gone. And before I knew it, the encore was over. So as much as this show had me really trying to adjust to Goose, right? It still went so fast because this band just has a fun, relaxed, awesome type of vibe that really makes you groove. They're not trying to be the next Fish. They're not trying to sit there and give you some of the elements of previous generations of jam bands. They're trying to have fun and happen to just jam after their songs. The other thing that I like about Goose is they have great songs. Spatford, when I think about Spatford, when I think about Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, right? Which my buddies went up to Greenfield, Mass. And they saw PPP before they were getting BIG, right? Baby, baby. They are not those bands, because I listened to these songs even before I went to the show. I listened to a Goose song and the songs are solid. One of the things about jam bands, there are jam bands that can jam, but they just don't make good songs. I'm sorry, they don't make good songs. I still go and see, but they don't make good songs. The songs that Goose has are solid songs by themselves, even without lengthy jams and progressions and different changes of major to minor and what have you. They make good songs, and that should be credited to them, as many people love this band, but many people criticize them. Oh, they don't do it. Shut up. They make good songs. So I gotta say that this band makes good songs. So the band opens up with Atlas, and my buddy, shout out to my boy Nick B, he told me that this was a song fans wanted back. It's a cover by the Wood Brothers. I've seen the Wood Brothers once out here in Hartford County. They played in Simsbury, Connecticut, opening up for the Tedeschi Trucks Band. It's an amazing show out here at a very intimate venue called Simsbury Meadows. But long story short, this didn't really grab my attention like an actual Goose song would, but this is still a great cover. It just, to me, because I'm here for Goose, I can't really appreciate this cover. I'm going to listen back to this and do another review a month after this show and give you my opinions there. But, and I know some people may say, oh my gosh, you didn't like this special cover to open up, and it was a, a big thing as far as what I heard. Yes, right now I don't. Even though I love the Wood Brothers and I love Goose after my first show, but this was just something that I kind of still felt like it wasn't a Goose show, even though it was Goose. Now after that, Flow Down and Dr. Darkness, these two songs were solid. I mean, these two songs were solid. I love the half step changes in Flow Down, and they bring it to a whole circle, and it's a nice little jam there, just under 10 minutes. And that really felt like the start of the show. In Dr. Darkness, I love stuff in the minor keys and in the minor scale runs. So I love that dark stuff, and this really got me to some minor stuff there. After that, we had Pancakes, which I had heard. I watched the 420 Fest stream, just like Trey's dad, who stayed at the Goose stage, by the way, instead of going to the Tab stage, because he knows how awesome Goose is as well. I heard that there, so I was like, okay, I've heard this song before. It was okay, but I did like after that Seekers on the Ridge, especially Seekers on the Ridge Part 2. I love the change. That reminded me of some of the Umphreys type of changes. Umphreys will have a song that transitions into this kind of da da da. That's kind of how Seekers on the Ridge Part 2 did. And then Hot Tea at the end. Hot Tea was the best part of the first set. Obviously they ended on it. It's one of their most beloved songs from what I've heard, and it's an awesome thing. And I love how maybe this is, I need to listen to more jam bands, but I love how you have that rest on beat 1, and this is something I've seen from Umphreys and some other like certain segments of jam bands where you have that and it stops. They keep going, like that. It was really cool how Goose does that throughout a couple of their songs. The second set to me was where it was at. The second set was a ball. The second set, Bud Haven, Creatures is like, I love what Goose does on Creatures and Into the Mist, and I could not make night 2. I'm mad. Into the Mist is my favorite Goose song. They played it night 2, and I was not there. And I don't know if I'll ever see it at Westville. If they come back, I have to go to other shows just so I can catch it for the mist. And I know they have a similar opening. I love the vibe and the creativity on the Creatures and Into the Mist type songs. I love it. I love the use of reverb and delay. So I think that's, to me, my favorite thing that Goose does is the Creatures Into the Mist type stuff. They bring back Pancakes. They're like, all right, we didn't do our best on Pancakes in the first set. We're going to bring that joint back for like 6 minutes. And I thought they did. I love how they brought it back, and it actually did. It was a better vibe in the second set. Wisteria Lane and SOS are two songs that I had heard before, especially Wisteria Lane. I've been listening to that on walks, long walks on the beach. And I'm just kidding. But I think it was a great vibe there, and SOS was really cool as well. I really loved the second set. Maybe it was because the sun went down. Also, I did move around. I was on the Peter side. I was right just to the left, about a foot or two of the right speaker stack when you're facing the stage, the stage left speaker stack. So the Peter side stack, I was there in the first set most of the time, but in the second set, me and my boy Nick, who's kind of guiding me through this stuff, he knows I've listened to jam bands, but he knows it's my first time. We go back more towards the center back of the floor. I was in the GA floor, if you guys can't see in the video. And to me, the second set just sounded better. The guitar, like Rick's guitar just sounded more present from when I moved. We were getting a lot of bass on the non-bass side of the stage. It was weird. But long story short, the second set just redeemed itself to me to really be a better vibe. Again, great stuff throughout the whole show, but that second set was lit. And then Rockdale and the encore, really, really cool. They got that in before I believe it's a 10 p.m. curfew out there at Westville. It's because it's kind of in a neighborhood, so it is what it is. I like the earlier start. By the way, I wish all jam bands started at 6:40. Like, some do, but most don't. They, Fish will start a little later. I loved how we were out at 10 o'clock, but I got a lot of music, and it went by so fast, and it was so much fun. And that's what's important, is having fun. And I had fun at this show. I want to sit on this stuff. This is just my initial reaction. This has happened with other bands I have done this with. And, you know, at the first show, sometimes you don't appreciate some. Maybe I'll appreciate that Atlas a year from now or 2 years from now after I go to more shows and listen to more Goose. So I don't know. But I just think that it's wonderful to be able to go to this show. Really laid back type of fans there. You saw a lot of Fish shirts. You saw some other jam bands mixed in, Dead and Company, Grateful Dead style shirts, the tie-dye. But it was cool because a lot of what I see online is people hate on. There's a lot of Fish fans who are hating on, you know, Goose. But to me, I love, you know, going to a Goose show like I did and experiencing what I experienced. And to me, I look forward to going to more shows as they continue to build on this momentum. I hope they continue to have the success they've had in the last year, having the Mohegan show. And in Connecticut, I know how big it is to have 2 Mohegan Sun shows. It's huge. And I'm glad for this band, and I really hope they can continue the success they have. So if you could tell from the intro, I'm an intermediate guitar player. I play at my church twice a week. Every now and then I'll do some spoken word poetry and do some acoustic and electric guitar jamming after the poetry. I'm in between the fans who really play guitar at a high level and listen to music at a high level and the average don't play an instrument but I go to see jam bands type fan. And as I look at both sides of the spectrum, and both can be critical of the music, I have to say, if you want to have fun at a Goose show, do not try to look at what mistakes they may make. Don't try to compare them to Trey. Don't try to compare them to other jam bands. Or don't compare them to Warren Haynes or Derek Trucks. Just enjoy the music. If you go to a show trying to compare them to jam bands of yesteryear, to music of yesteryear, you will not have fun. But if you come with an open mind and want to hear a fresh approach in the next generation of jam bands, Goose is that wave. Okay, it doesn't matter. People are trying to already say they're going to be the next Spatford and level out. They're going to be the next PPP, which had a little bit of a run and now they kind of leveled off. It's no. These guys are talented and special, and I do think they're going to continue to grow because when you listen to this music and the next generation of kids who again had grandparents or parents that went to see Fish and the Dead, they want their own wave, and Goose is that wave. And I think that it is wonderful to have the Billy Strings as another example. Just fresh energy into this circuit of jam bands and these venues like Westville that gets all these awesome underrated bands, not appreciated by the public so much, but appreciated by people who love this type of music. Goose is also in that area where they're fresh, they're new, they grew up like me listening to indie rock and the Grateful Dead, and they're merging together influences but creating their own sound. Yes, it'll sound eerily similar to bands like Humphreys, to a little bit of what Fish does, but not really fully like Fish. But ultimately, the wheel cannot be reinvented. There's only so many scales. There's only so many notes. There's only one circle of fifths. And Goose is a great time, and that's all that matters. And you may leave a show, and maybe it's not your wave. Let the music sit. Because even 2 days after going to my first Goose show, I'm appreciating more of what I didn't appreciate in the moment of all this new stuff coming in my head all at once as Goose's first notes hit me in the face and melted my face. But I appreciate it so much more now 2 days later. I'm going to try to make a video a month after the 27th show that I just went to, May 27th show at the Westville. And what I want to do is just listen to this show. Shout out to the tapers who taped this show. I want to listen back to it and give my opinions then. I am confident I'm going to have different feelings, especially about the first set, that to me, it took me time to digest what they were doing. It's your boy Conservates34. Definitely like, comment, subscribe if you love what I'm doing. Check out more of my content. I'll be having some Fish content, continuing my Fish Noob series where I'm looking as a new fan of Fish about how they're impacting me, what I love about them, and what I'm experiencing, diving through their deep catalog. I'm a Dave Matthews Band fan. I know you're probably gonna say they suck, But I love Dave Matthews Band, and they were the gateway drug into many of these jam bands, like the Allman Brothers behind me, that I was able to catch right before they had their final bout. So, if you like some of that, it's there. Avid Brothers as well, Avid Brothers, whatever it is. I'm going to my third show for them coming up this week. I'll have a review of that. So definitely check it out. It's your boy ConcertViz34, YouTube ConcertViz34, Instagram ConcertViz34, and Twitter at ConcertViz34. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.